Welcome to One on One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's the biggest day of the year here at PAC 14. The boss is in the house. Welcome to County Executive Bob Culver.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
So how are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Budget's passed. We're all through that season.
Budget got passed and no one was injured.
No meaningful blood anyhow was drawn. We had a couple changes on it, so they cut about $400,000, maybe $500,000 total out of the budget, and
And that was based on their projection for next year.
and that's fine. I mean,
Right.
but out of a $151 million budget, I can't say that really upsets me a whole lot. So
Now, you did a great thing in the budget. I'm not supposed to give you credit for anything. It's not my job. But put the $750,000 in for school security, and then at the right moment, sort of stepping back and saying, this is what I'd like to see done with it, but it's your money. You guys make the decision.
I did, and I did feel like security was one of my priorities, and with everything we've seen, even now in Maryland, it's happened a couple of times. But there's 7 people there that make that decision, and I wanted them to have a say-so in it, and they've decided to put it towards maintenance of effort. They all know what it's going to be. It's going to cost us $500,000 more every year for
Right.
perpetuity. So, but that was the
That's
choice.
not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. I mean, I'm not arguing that point. I
Yeah.
mean, I would rather have spent the money on making sure our infrastructure and our safety was first, but, it's given to the board, and the board decides what they want to do with it.
Yeah, the state moves in a glacial way. There was just a news release yesterday that they've come up with a plan to use the money for security, but they haven't decided what the security procedures are going to be at each school. The state wants to roll in this.
And again,
so it's only, 5 months later, and now they have a plan.
And they have 10 million, I believe they sent out yesterday, but the only
Okay.
problem, 10 million could be used in Baltimore. Could be
Right.
used in one county very easily. So
Right. So budget was pretty easy.
there was a lot of decisions in going into the budget on the executive side of it. So we took a lot of time and care in how we made our pay raises. We did a lot of pay raises this year based off the Singer study.
Right.
And a Singer study, for those who are not really sure, is where we hire a company from outside and they see that whether or not we were paying our employees what would be the normal rate. So we took that into account. We've raised some of them anywhere from 3% to 8%. Our manual does not allow us to raise anybody over 8%. There's a couple positions that were recommended to go higher, but we can't do that because of our personnel manual. So that's what we've done, and hopefully everybody's happy with it. So
And people get mad about giving county employees raises sometimes. But the thing is, when you look back on the whole revenue cap and everything that went back to that, the reason the revenue cap came about was because there had not been raises given in so long. There was a salary study which showed people needed raises. They gave raises. They had to raise taxes 26% to pay for the raises.
Sure.
And then you end up with a situation like a revenue cap.
Well, and that's why I have believed in giving small raises every year. I have given
Right.
a 2, a 3, and a 2 on the COLAs. The first year was I was working underneath Rick's budget at the time, so I had to go with that. So then in the second, third, fourth year, I have been able to give COLAs and raises to the people. So they lost money during the furlough days and all that. We all did. So I
Right.
mean, the point is I'm trying not to, I can't bring them up to where they would have been, but at the same time, I'm trying to show them that we care about them and that we are doing what we can do to keep them where the market says they should be.
Explain to people for me the reserve situation, because people, especially people associated with the Board of Education, look at the reserve, the rainy day fund, reserve fund growing, and they say, why can't we use that money for our schools and for things that we need? Give me the dad's take on that.
Well, the adult way of looking at this, we'll say, is
I used to say, my kids used to say, but I used to say I have no money, and they would go, well, just go to the ATM.
well, the way I look at this and the way that New York has taught me to look at this, and New York is our bond market, it's like our bankers. So they want us to have roughly between 4 to 6 months of operating expenses to operate Wicomico County if we were to get no money in. So right now we're at about 4 months. I'm shooting to get between 5.5 months in there. Since I have come in, we have come from $27 million in reserve to $40 million. So we've raised it almost $13 million total. Some of that will become earmarked for certain things, but some of it will become reserved money for that. And we have raised it. We've raised that through our savings of what we've been able to do in cutting excess spending, anything from birthdays to the cars, that kind of stuff, and whatever else we've been able to do. This year we were hit with a $1.5 million raise in our insurance costs. And because of that, we were able to go from PPO to EPO and keep our costs in even some positions cheaper than what they were last year. But that's not going to last long. We can only Band-Aid that for so long. I mean, all insurance costs are going up. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a great network to be in, but at the same time, it's going to cost us to keep those benefits coming.
And the more money we have in the bank, the cheaper we can borrow money for things like the new Beaver Run School and things like that.
Our better our interest rate is. We are hindered not so much by the revenue cap, and this has been a fallacy that people have said, and that's not been the problem. Talbot County, everybody says, well, look at Talbot County. They have a revenue cap, and yet they're AAA rating. Our problem is, and it's not a problem for us, because this is our choice of what we want to do, is because our development is limited because we have so much farmland, agricultural land. If we don't want to be an agricultural community and we want to start developing houses like Anne Arundel County or Montgomery County, I can have you a AAA rating in another year. But because we limit that in what we are allowed to develop, that's what's going to hold us back, because they look at what our potential income is. Just like as you or I in our lives and our business, the bank will look at us as how much money we potentially can be making.
You did kind of a bold thing 2 years ago with the Warwick tuition plan. People thought, wow, you know, a conservative Republican guy wants to spend money on education this way, help people fund stuff. But you saw it as a workforce development thing, an economic development thing, and it's gone pretty well.
It's gone very well. We've got a lot of positive response when you go out, and especially someone who's been able to utilize that. There are still people that say that I'm wasting money, but I don't think you are. When you're giving a better education to your workforce, you will be attracting businesses here. This is not going to happen overnight. Salisbury, Wicomico County didn't get the way it was overnight, and some of it is because we were lackadaisical, and some of it was because we just didn't want to change. But if we want to be able to keep Wicomico County the way it is, we've got to attract some businesses. Manufacturing business throughout the United States is down. Whatever businesses we attract, we're at a very lucky position right now in the fact that we have more people employed in Wicomico County than has ever been employed.
Right.
Our unemployment rate's down to around 4% or so, and that's great. We're doing very well with that. But we want to bring in higher paying jobs. We want to bring in better educated positions for that, so that we have got to teach these people. And that's basically all we're doing. We're helping those.
You need a skilled local workforce.
Right, and it doesn't matter whether we're helping to pay for scholarships so somebody can become a truck driver, so someone can become a welder. That's been one of the most successful programs we've got with Chesapeake Shipbuilders. We're able to utilize those welders in many, many ways. So, and with wind possibly being an asset we're going to be able to do, the wind farms, they're going to need welders out there. So all these things that we can do to have a better educated, better paid workforce will help Wicomico County out.
One of the things you also implemented that kind of surprised people, you were able to do the alcohol at the Civic Center. We've talked about that a lot. How's that going? It's
done very well. Matter of fact, we were on a conference call yesterday about hockey coming to Wicomico County.
We had a little setback with that, but it's back on track.
We had a setback with the gentleman. Well, we talked to another league yesterday, the Federal Hockey League.
Right.
And to be open with you, they want us to make so many concessions, it's not going to be worth it for Wicomico County based off our conversation we had yesterday. But they're willing to negotiate, so we're still willing to sit down at the table and see what we can do. I can't give them any concession money from the alcohol sales. That's part of our alcohol license by the state of Maryland, 2B. But whether or not we give them the hot dogs that are sold or the pretzels that are sold or something like that, they've got to have a certain figure to make it to pay all their employees, which are your hockey players as well as your coaches and that kind of stuff. So on the outside, it didn't work yesterday, but that doesn't mean it won't work. We're still going to go back to the table.
The investment in the Civic Center, when you were doing that at the time, I was like, is that really necessary? But really, I was just out there for the graduations. Civic Center's nice.
The Civic Center is a great location. Now, we are so fortunate people don't realize what we have. We have a $100 million building in a small community like Wicomico County with 100,000 people that is unheard of. And in this day and time, it's very fortunate.
Yeah, the improvements in the lobby area and the seats and the bathrooms. I mean, it's nice in there.
It's a great facility, and everybody that comes in. I took a group out there yesterday who wanted to do a concert and a show out there, and they were just amazed by how well everything was and how nice it looked and how organized it was. We've got a great staff out there, so. They do a wonderful job, and we're working on the midway room now, which is the smaller of the two rooms, and it's turned more to like dinner theaters, that type of thing.
Right.
So we've got no longer do we play basketball in there. We still play volleyball, but the ceilings are just not height-wise, for basketball or anything like that.
Yeah, the midway room is what survived the fire.
It did, and it gave us the old part of the Civic Center like it used to be. But,
right.
And it's a nice secondary room now, but it's not the main hall. Some of the same councils that we blame for the revenue cap were some of the same people that were on during that time. So I don't I don't blame anybody. I know that's come out that some people are blaming the previous council back in '99, and I don't. That was just something that came up, and that's what they felt like they had
They
to
reacted,
do.
yeah.
And this council or I could make the same mistakes that 20 years from now, someone would be second guessing. And we always know Monday morning quarterback's a lot easier than when you're right on the front line making that decision.
Yeah, you get a crisis situation and react.
Right,
And,
so.
but being involved as a reporter at that time, they didn't telegraph what they were doing. They just did it, and it was like, oh my gosh, what have they done?
Well, times have changed. We didn't count, back then we just counted on newspaper print, but
Exactly.
now you've got Facebook, you've got, every possible means of social media now that it gets out no matter what, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. On the other hand, the Shorebird Stadium is also beautiful now.
Shorebirds we've done through our remodel. We have about $500,000 more that the state had given us there, and we're getting ready to finish those up. We're doing the walkways down the first base line, down the third base line.
I'm looking forward to that.
To sometime be able to connect it to around the outside home run fence,
Right.
and they call it a walk around, I think. So,
Right.
And then there'll be seating out there just like they do at Oriole Stadium. Not as elaborate, but same pretense anyhow.
Now, right now, you've got thousands of softball players in town. That's something you've helped orchestrate with Worcester County.
We have a group. A lot of the hotels will be busy in Ocean City. I believe our hotels are very busy here in Wicomico County, as well as our restaurants. We've had an attendance of over 12,000 people. Some have stayed for as long as a week and a half. Some have enjoyed their vacation time where they're here. So this is the last week. We're on the 18 and unders this particular week. So it's been great. I mean, they've done well. We've only lost, I think, 3 or 4 games we lost yesterday, day before with rain, but that was about it. We moved them from like the Snow Hill fields and the Willard fields back to Henry Parker. And the presenter on that, Bill Dow, has said these are the best fields in the country. So
It's funny, like
we're
when
very proud.
you're riding through Willards and all of a sudden there's 5,000 people over at the field. You're like, what the heck's going on here in Willards? And then you remember what's going on.
They are all
It's
over
not
the
just in
county.
Salisbury, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. They have taken both counties over, basically, and used every stadium and ball field they can get onto. So it's wonderful. It really is. I think this last time we had 82 teams come in. So that's that's a lot of teams have
That's
to play
a lot
ball.
of people, yeah.
So it's been good.
You were in the news just last week for your idea to take the old Poplar Hill Correctional Center down in Quantico and use it as a drug treatment center, a conversion center for people who are coming back into the not workforce, but into society from being, going through a bad addiction situation. How's that going? How do you envision this working?
It's going very well. We have, I spoke with the governor one day, actually talked to him one night when he was down for a DPI banquet, and he liked the idea. So after that, I followed up with him, and I followed up with Clay Stamp, who is the opioid director for the state of Maryland through Hogan. I've talked to Secretary Moyers. They have no intentions of ever putting prisoners back in there, which was something we all thought would happen after
Right.
ECI got straight. And from there, they went on, and I talked to the Secretary of Health, Secretary Neal, and they all are on board with this. So Clay Stamp will be coming down probably the next council meeting or the first council meeting or two in August to give the council his take on how we're going to do this. So it's going very well, but what we have found, and I got to give a lot of people credit, it wasn't my credit, the only part was my credit, was I thought about Poplar Hill. We started off originally thinking about an area behind Owens Branch Road where the Maryland Food Bank is. We own some property there, and we thought about having a place where the patients could work and still be able to take the food that we raised and give it to the Maryland Food Bank and kind of make it a cycle so we could all help one another. But it kind of grew from there. And after going through all the forums, Laura Brewster and I, health director, decided that what we needed to do was have more of an actual player involved, and that would be Wicomico County, and trying to find a place and get a place going for a longer term. Many times Medicare or the insurances will only give you 7 days or 28 days, but people need a longer term to heal.
Right.
And I worked with a couple of business owners. Sandy Fitzgerald is very, very much in help. She's offered to help hire the people as they get out of treatment, and that's been a wonderful asset. And right now, that's what I'm asking the county to buy into the fact that we want to offer them jobs. We have part-time jobs at Civic Center. We have part-time jobs at Parks and Rec. And we can help these people by putting them back into society, by giving them a job. We don't have to release them back on the same situation in which they were in. We're not intending to go to Baltimore and grab patients to fill this place up. This is made for the shore. Start out wanting to have Worcester, Wicomico, and Somerset. It's ended up being, I've now got Worcester, Wicomico, Somerset, Dorchester, Talbot, Kent, and Caroline counties all wanting to buy in on this.
Right.
So this is going to be an Eastern Shore. It's going to be on this side of the bridge. We're looking to help our people. So it's not going to be directed by, some people have said the state corrections facilities can send them over there. No, it's not like that. So we have put out an RFP, and we've gotten 3 responses so far, people that are interested in being the provider. Wicomico County is not going to be the provider. All we're going to do is be responsible for sort of being the facilitator of everything, as well as maybe making sure the maintenance is up on the buildings.
Right. So the situation would be like, I've had a problem with addiction. I had some sort of a crisis where I overdose. I'm in the hospital. I have to come out of the hospital. My family doesn't want me at home anymore. I need treatment. So I would go to a facility like this locally.
You could do that, and a lot of them will come from possibly the people from our COAT program.
Right.
When people, recognize COAT and they want to be clean, that's the time to send them to a bed. That's the problem we're having now, is that we can't find beds for them within, the first hours that they need it.
Right. And if you schedule me for a week from now, I'm going to overdose again.
You're going to overdose again.
Yeah.
That's been the problem. So I've got a lot of help on this. I feel good that we were able to come up with this ideal, but at the same time, Laurie Brewster from the health department has been a great asset, and as well as every one of the state secretaries I've had to deal with. So, and my staff, we're working weekly on making meetings and doing what we can do. Jamie Dykes is included on this, and
right.
so
State's attorney.
We have a good team. So
yeah, I'm going to give credit to the sheriff. He's got the attitude of, I can't arrest my way out of this.
He has, and I think. And
a lot of sheriffs, that's what they.
A lot
that's
of sheriffs.
Their solution.
That is, or throw them away. We didn't get in that problem.
Right.
Why is it our problem? It's our neighbors' kids. It's our neighbors. I mean, the average overdose is not what you would think, like the high school kid who just took too much. It's between 25 and 60 white males. That is the average overdose client. So,
right.
So tell me how. I don't understand it, but I'm here to help.
Now, the COAT program in Wicomico is a national model.
It has been. We're very proud of that.
Yeah.
So between Judge Massarella, Laurie Brewster, and myself, we were able, and I'm just strictly the money man, and was able to bring it forward for them. But
right.
Their ideal came forth to me, and we were able to make this work. So it's became a state model. Now it's up for national recognition, or has been recognized nationally. So Laurie has actually gone around to different counties to teach them what we do.
Well, you keep saying, don't give me too much credit for this. But when I talk to them, they go, well, he deserves credit. But what he deserves credit mostly for was listening, having an open mind about it.
Well, yeah, some people would argue with that point, that I'm not open-minded, but no, I do. It's a problem.
Well, there's that famous thing where you brought them all in at the table and said, what are we going to do?
Yeah, and we recognize the fact, and we've got to, there's a lot of people smarter than I am, but, they've got their fortes and what they're good at, and what mine is business, and that's why I'm at where I'm at, and they are where they are.
Speaking of that, you have kind of, I think, kind of a wacky idea for some cabins down in Tyaskin.
Now, wacky, are we talking good wacky, bad wacky?
I think that could work, or it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it's going to work, because I think I would like to go down there and rent a place and spend a weekend. I'm kind of intrigued by it. But anyway, talk about what you've got going on down there. I forget the name of the park. Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill Park,
Yeah.
or some people call it Jackson Marina, Jackson Harbor. Yes, we've got land down there. One of the hottest things around right now are what you call your mini houses, mini
Right.
cabins, that kind of stuff. So people can come down and stay in these mini cabins, and then bring a boat down with them. We've got slips open, so we can open them up a slip, rent them a slip, and they'll be able to experience the bay, experience the Nanticoke River.
The river's right there.
The river's
The bay's right there.
and you've got areas there. So you've got Booney's Restaurant that way. You've got Red Roost down that way. So there are places to serve food, and so I think it's just, we've got a bathhouse there already. Nothing's getting used as it is right now. So people have been afraid in some ways of thinking that it was going to be a drug emporium going on down there, and I don't see that happening at all because we'll have sheriffs going through there to protect their guests as well as we have rangers through the Parks and Recreation.
Sure.
So, yeah, and then we've talked about that also we're doing a master plan now for Pirates Wharf.
Right.
We have hired for a master plan to be done there, and they will come back, and they've actually mentioned they thought cabins were a great idea to put out there so that people could stay out there or have retreats out there. Some would be in the woods as far as the minimalistic cabins, and there would be some on the cleared land. So
that's a beautiful piece of property.
it is beautiful. We were trying to go in there and take out what was needed to make paths in there, to make places for possible cabins. It's a park. It's all part of it.
But the previous Recreation and Parks Director did want to clear cut it and then use the cash to develop the water side.
Yeah, I never knew his plans for the woods,
Right.
and you may have known that better than I, but
Your plan is much softer.
softer, gentler, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what we're working with. But everything has worked out very well with that. We've gone farming now with a year-to-year lease, so that if we do get federal money will not allow it to be leased out for any type of operation. It has to stay fairly natural. So we're getting ready to do some things. We've got some things in the budget now that this year, if you were to ride by there, you would notice the corn's not planted all the way to the ditch like it normally is.
Right.
So that's going to be a sort of like a dressing on the front of it, like an old-time fence. So parking could be out front, and paths would start right there, much like Pemberton Hall does out front of that, but only just set back about 50 feet or so.
Right.
So we're waiting to see what that plan shows when it comes back.
A lot of energy out at the airport.
A lot of energy there.
Almost too much energy out at the airport. I'm always stunned by readers because I've been writing a lot. They finally got rid of the propeller planes, the Dash 8s.
The Dash 8s are gone.
So I've been writing a lot of stories like final flight of the Dash 8, Dash 8's final flight, and people somehow have converted that into, are they closing the airport?
No, we're expanding.
So I need to explain to people that no, we're not closing. There's just going to be jets flying now. I thought everyone understood that. But you have lots of great ideas for this airport.
Well, the jets, of course, are American Airlines. I had
Right.
nothing to do with the jets, but
Right.
they will need to have the runways extended in order to do that. They would need 600 feet more for these jets to take off during a hot day, 95-degree day with a full load, full passenger flying so far, the fuel load. My thought is why do 600 feet when we can go ahead and do 1,600 feet and we can land any plane that there is.
Right.
C-131 if we need to. So and take off with that too. So. But doing that will allow us to expand the airport even wider range of what can fly in and fly out. But we have got a lot going on out there. It's been had it made so it was an enterprise zone. So any business coming out there now will be available for tax breaks through the state of Maryland. We have our water will be out there in 19. So that way we'll be able to build a hangar the size that we would need with fire protection, that we
Right.
wouldn't have to have a special standalone fire system on that. So that's about a $50,000, $60,000 savings per hangar. We have talked to people. We're getting ready to build new general aviation hangars, what we call the smaller hangars for the weekend pilots, for the jet set type of thing that they have. So yeah, there's a lot going on out there, and it's just a lot of it we had to bring up to where standards are today, and then we're going ahead from that point.
Your director out there, Dawn Veach, who's kind of a whirlwind.
She is. She's doing a great job. Her experience is being with FAA, so she knows all the rules, the regs, the right people to talk to get some of these things done. So it's hard to keep up with her some days, but
Right.
she does a great job. She really does.
Well, right now she wants me to write a story about the restaurant idea that she has. I mean, are you for this? Do you want a restaurant out there?
It would be, well, let's say her original idea was to have on a second floor and glass windows so you could look down into.
Oh, it was going to be nice.
carpet.
Yeah.
I wasn't so much on that one, no, but having owned restaurants before, I know it's a tough
She
beat
wanted
to
a
go.
destination restaurant.
We have the John B. Hall Passenger Lounge now,
Yes.
and that can be set up for small restaurant style. I think we need to start small and go from there. They've not worked before, but part of it is she's right. In fact, people want to look at the runway. Why we ever put the airport restaurant looking at the parking lot, I don't know.
Right.
But that being said, we have to sit down carefully and design this in the best effective manner we can.
And that lounge is nice. I mean,
lounge
forever
is
we
very-
just sort of like had to huddle there by the window. There was nowhere really to spread out in the airport. But that's a nice room there.
It's a very nice room now, yeah. And John Hall has taken a great interest in the airport since he came on the council, and he's done a remarkable job chairing that commission. And I'm very happy that he did so. He agreed to do so when I asked him to do so.
And he's pretty proud to have his name on there.
Well, he is. He is. John's very modest in a way, but he is very proud of that because he's worked hard to get this airport up to current standards.
I wanted to talk more about the Henry Parker Park.
Sure.
You went through a great amount of work there to enlarge it, add the fields for what's going on right now. What is the future there? Do you have more ideas about what you'd like to do with the Henry Parker complex?
Well, we're expanding that all the time now. We just, like I say, we're in our third week of the USSSA tournament, but we also had a Little League tournament prior to that. So the fields are done so they can be either Little League, baseball, or they can be softball. So we're not going to be putting any rectangular fields out there. This is strictly a diamond complex.
Okay.
We don't have any rectangular fields other than a few out that we had out there before they were moved to Winter Place Farm. Mr. Urban from Falcons has got plenty of fields. If we need to have a tournament, that's fine. If not, there's places in Ocean City. They've got a place in Pittsville now, I believe, that has fields down there, and it's a beautiful setup down there. So they're doing well with that, I hope. And so we just need to expand whatever we're using. And we've got like a tournament coming in the week of the Folk Festival. We also have a tournament it's the older players. I'll be looking for you out there, I'm sure. So, but. It's a older group and about 60 or 70 people that play. So, we're looking forward to that one too.
I can make it to first base, but that's about
That's it, huh? We'll get a designated runner in for you at that point in time.
You mentioned Folk Festival. I have to ask, are you looking forward to it?
Well, we've had...
You've been kind of cynical about this thing.
I won't say cynical. I've been reserved. Miss O'Hara came to the council last week or 2 weeks ago and told us everything was going fine. We've done everything that they've asked for. She's asked for as far as the county. We were not in on the initial planning, and I wished we had been, for something this big, but we weren't. So this is the cities. This is all city, whether good, bad, indifferent. I'm giving Jake all the credit, and we're here to help wherever we can. We've opened up the parking lot of the Civic Center for parking, and we're going to do what we can do to help that. So.
But you'll be out there and you'll help make it work?
I will be there, yes.
Are you going to volunteer?
I will volunteer to walk around and spend money, but I don't know about volunteering with a bucket or anything.
I just got my volunteer assignment.
Did you? What would that be?
I'm in charge of keeping the porta potties clean. Porta potties numbers 79 through 96.
I see.
They're on Sam Vincent Way.
Okay.
So that'll be my job. So if
those are the ones that are on the hill like that?
Exactly.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'll be doing is keeping those porta potties clean. So they found a job that fits my skills.
Well,
see, for someone like you could have a much better job, I'm sure.
Well, no, that would be fine, but I'd be more in tune to just stay in the office at that point in time. But
I understand there's an election this year.
There is one. We have got an election coming up in November, so.
And we'll have you back to talk about your plans for that.
I appreciate that. It's an exciting year in that sense. We just have different opinions in how things should go, and I'm anxious to hear what he's got to say. And
are you excited to run though? You want to do this again?
I love it. I love getting up every morning, coming in, and hoping making a good, positive change. You fight the fights that you can fight, and some of them you've got to negotiate out on, but you go for whatever you can get.
Has this been the fastest 4 years of your life?
It has been.
Isn't it amazing?
It's been 4 years that you wake up and you think, gosh, where's it all gone?
Yeah.
It's been exciting 4 years. I love being a part of the fast pace that we have, but it's been challenging too. So we've made some what I feel are great changes, and you mentioned several of them here. But we, to increase the county savings by $10 million, to be the highest employment that the county has ever had, to shelter it through the 150th anniversary. I've been very honored to do that, and I feel like it's gone over well, and I look forward to the next 4 years.
He's the boss, Bob Culver. We're thrilled to have him here today to Pack 14. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of 101 right here on Pack 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.